Imagine a ghost in the sky, invisible to the eye and silent to the machines that hunt it. Now picture that ghost turning the tables, striking at the heart of the hunter itself. Buckle up. This isn't Hollywood. This is the razor edge of modern warfare, where shadows clash and secrets shatter. The tense Arctic stage. In the frozen wilds of the Arctic, where the wind howls like a warning from the gods of old, the stage was set for a showdown that would rewrite the rules of the skies. It was August 2025, just weeks after a tense summit in Alaska between world leaders, when the air seemed to crackle with unspoken threats. Russia, ever the bear testing its claws, had been probing closer to American shores. Spy planes, those sly Ilyushin Il-20, darted like foxes into the Alaskan Air Defense Identification Zone. This ADIZ isn't visible on any map, but it's as real as any border, stretching hundreds of miles beyond U.S. soil. It's guarded by the North American Aerospace Defense Command, NORAD, a vigilant sentinel armed with satellites, radars, and the deadliest falcons in the fleet, the F-35 Lightning II. The stealth marvel takes flight. The F-35 isn't just a fighter jet. It's a ghost stitched from lightning and steel. A phantom in the sky, it drifts where radars fail, a shadow that bends physics to its will. Imagine an enemy searching the skies with all its might, only to find nothing but silence. That's the terror of the F-35. Wrapped in radar-absorbent skin, its jagged lines don't scream power, they whisper disappearance. What if invisibility wasn't a comic book dream, but a war machine roaring across the clouds, costing over $80 million apiece? The F-35 doesn't simply fly, it thinks. It fuses data, pulling whispers of information into one God's-eye view. What if your cockpit wasn't just a seat in the sky, but the throne of a digital empire? Its pilots don't merely steer metal, they orchestrate chaos. What if the flick of one switch could turn the battlefield into your chessboard, with every enemy piece exposed? From the sands of the Middle East to the storms of the Pacific, the F-35 has written its name in the clouds. But on August 24, 2025, destiny called for something bolder. What if this wasn't a patrol, but a ghostly dagger thrust into the heart of Russian defenses? A surprise attack, born not of brute force, but of silence. What if the invisible stopped hiding and started hunting? This wasn't just a mission, it was a message. What happens when the future of air combat finally takes off, and no one on the ground can see it coming? The F-35 didn't rise as a jet. It rose as a question mark, a puzzle to every radar, a nightmare to every commander. What if the sky itself turned against you? Dawn over the Bering Sea. Picture the scene, dawn breaking over the icy waters of the Bering Sea, where the horizon bleeds steel and silver across restless waves. The cold bites. The air carries silence broken only by the hum of distant machinery. Deep inland, inside a heavily guarded Russian command post, operators huddle over glowing screens. Their confidence is unshakable. Before them stands their crown jewel, the Nebo-M radar array, a towering beast of engineering designed to pierce the invisible veil of stealth. This isn't your grandfather's radar. The Nebo-M works in the VHF spectrum, its sweeping arms capable of sniffing out what once seemed untouchable. Reports whispered through military corridors claim it can see American F-35 stealth jets from nearly 200 miles away. By 2025, analysts said it had broken stealth in simulations, giving Russia a supposed edge against the crown of U.S. airpower. But dawn has a way of rewriting expectations. On this morning, the watchers of the sky, the proud hunters, were about to realize the unthinkable. Operation Ghost Strike. From Elmendorf-Richardson Air Base in Anchorage, 2 F-35 as roar skyward. Pilots, call signs, Viper and Shadow tighten their grips on controls slick with anticipation. They aren't rookies, they're aces forged in the crucible of rising Arctic tensions, where melting ice has turned trade routes into battlefronts. NORAD's network feeds them live intelligence. AWACS eyes in the sky. KC-135 tankers refueling them in midair, and satellites peering down like silent gods. Their target? Not enemy jets, but a precision strike on Russia's electronic eyes. The F-35's stealth makes the approach a dance of shadows. Its AN APG-81 radar locks silently. The AN ASQ-239 electronic warfare suite unleashes digital chaos, flooding the NEBO-M's frequencies with blinding noise. For the Russian crews, crisp signals dissolve into static snow. Then comes the killer blow. An AGM-88 HARM missile screams into the sky. Built to hunt radars, it rides their very emissions like a predator tracking blood in water. Within seconds, it slams into the NEBO-M array. Boom! Flames erupt across the tundra. Antennas crumple like foil. Russian crews scatter under wailing alarms as explosions ripple through the outpost. To the world, this is reported as an intercept gone active. But inside defense circles, it was clear. This was no accident. This was payback. The first taste of victory. For Washington, the strike was a win. The Biden administration called it a demonstration of resolve. Military briefings framed it as just another intercept, one of several that week, but insiders knew better. The NEBO-M's loss punched a hole in Russia's Arctic shield, weakening its defense web of S-400 missiles. Viper and Shadow returned as quiet heroes, their jets untouchable, their tanks refilled mid-air. But the skies have a way of humbling even the boldest hunters. Because victory was only the first act. The radar falls, but victory? That's where the sky darkens. What happens when the ghost's cloak unravels in the hunter's trap? The trap springs. The sky looked empty, but it was a lie. Unbeknownst to the American pilots, Russia had prepared its own surprise. Sliding like a phantom at the edges of the Udis, Su-57 Felon waited. This wasn't just another fighter. It was Moscow's crown jewel, the sleek fifth-generation Predator built to rival the F-35. With thrust-vectoring engines that let it twist and pivot like a hawk in mid-air, the Su-57 promised maneuvers Western jets could only dream of. But here's the twist. The Su-57 wasn't the real weapon. It was bait. Its very presence was meant to lure American pilots into overconfidence, to pull them deeper into a carefully spun web. Just beyond radar shadows, nestled in hidden launch sites, waited Russia's upgraded S-125 Neva missile batteries. To history buffs, the name carried weight. These were the descendants of the same missiles that had achieved the impossible back in 1999. Shooting down America's invisible F-117 stealth fighter over Yugoslavia. That victory had been a humiliation for Washington, a scar still remembered in military circles. Now, those same missiles had been sharpened, modernized, and positioned like coiled vipers. The trap was set. Echoes of 1999. To understand the danger, rewind to March 27, 1999. Lieutenant Colonel Dale Zelko piloted an F-117 Nighthawk over Belgrade, wrapped in the arrogance of invisibility. For years, the stealth jet was considered untouchable, a shadow in the sky immune to radar. But one man was determined to prove otherwise. Colonel Zoltan Dani, a clever Yugoslav commander who understood patience, precision, and deception. Dani refused to play by the book. Instead of blasting radar beams constantly, he switched his systems on and off in irregular bursts, creating confusion while hunting his prey. He relied on old, low-frequency waves, technology many dismissed as outdated, to sniff out the faintest echo of the Nighthawk. Then came the moment. His missile battery locked on, and a streak of fire lit the night. A missile slammed into the Nighthawk, shattering the myth of invisibility. Zelko ejected as flaming wreckage scattered across fields. It was a humiliation for the U.S., but a golden prize for its adversaries. Pieces of the invisible jet were quickly shipped off to Russia and China. Engineers studied the fragments, learning the weak points of America's stealth crown jewel. Years later, Those lessons would surface in the sleek lines of the Su-57 Felon and the J-20 Mighty Dragon. Stealth, once a symbol of untouchable dominance, was exposed as fallible. And the warning of 1999 did not fade. It lingered, waiting. History echoes like thunder. Could the ghosts of 1999 haunt the heirs of tomorrow? Birth of adaptive stealth. Every defeat plants seeds of innovation. In secret labs, U.S. engineers unveiled adaptive stealth, materials that shift signatures like an octopus changing colors. Combined with quantum-resistant electronic warfare, the next generation of fighters began to take shape. The NGAD program, Next Generation Air Dominance. The Arctic, once dismissed as barren, was transformed into a crucible of military evolution. From ashes, legends rise. But as new phantoms take wing, one question lingers: who's hunting whom next? Lessons of Ghosts. The saga of August 2025 etched itself into military history. A stealth strike turned triumph into tragedy. A radar destroyed, a pilot captured, a jet humbled, yet also a reminder: in warfare, adaptation is the only armor that lasts. Russia's radars will rebuild. America's fighters will evolve. The cycle of shadow and counter-shadow will continue. And the world? It watches the skies, knowing that the next whisper in the wind may be the start of something far greater. What began as a dazzling display of stealth power became a sobering lesson. The Arctic clash showed that no technology is untouchable, no ghost truly invisible. Victory can turn to vulnerability in a heartbeat, but it also proved resilience. A new era of aerial warfare was born. The ghosts of the skies will never rest. They rise, they fall, they adapt. And somewhere over the frozen horizon, the next battle of shadows is already waiting. Curious for more? Hit subscribe, drop a comment, and join the journey. Plenty of exciting content is coming your way. Thanks for watching.